Today we're going to be sitting inside and I'm going to work on an edit of one of the shots that I shot in my last episode. And if you want to see how I shot this photo, then check out the episode and then come back and watch this. And today we're just going to jump into Lightroom and I'm going to show you some of the techniques that you can use with the new Lightroom Classic. Obviously you can do this all with other previous versions of Lightroom too. And yeah, it's lots of local adjustments and we're going to turn this. Well, I was hoping for it to be a wintry shot, but we didn't actually get any snow and white at all. We basically got the opposite. We got rain and a raging river just pouring down this little stream. My little triple cascade turned into a raging waterfall, and I really didn't get what I expected. But I think the shot turned out quite all right, and it's a bit of a fresh perspective from this iconic spot. So yeah, let's see what we can make out of this shot. Let's get into it. This is my shot. There's a few things that I like and a few things I don't like about this. The first one being we need to work a little bit on getting our attention to the bridge. The bridge is basically disappearing in the background, so I really want to get my attention towards the bridge in the back. So we're going to try and do that by shifting the contrast in the shot. First of all, I'm going to cheat a little bit. I'm going to start off with one of my presets from my mountain preset pack, which is the ice preset. So I think that looks pretty cool. Gives me a great starting point. I'm just going to adjust my my preset a little bit after this. So I'm going to jump in and maybe get rid of those greens a little bit. So this is going to be a bit of a moody shot. So I really want to start off dark and brighten up the areas that I want to brighten up. So I'm going to start off a little bit underexposed and then we'll work our way and highlight the things we want to see. Great, let's jump into the local adjustments. I want to do some of the hue, saturation, and luminance panels. Now, the first thing that disturbs me here is the water. I really don't like the blue. Well, blue, I would like it to be blue, but it's more yellow and brown. So I'm going to use K to get into the brush tool. Scroll up a bit to make it bigger, and I'm just going to start brushing. Now I can't see it. The best way to show my brush is press O, and then I can see my mask overlay. Okay, cool. Now I'm going to use one of the new features of Lightroom to adjust my edit. So we're going to be using the Luminance, which is basically allows me to select how much, refine my mask so I can go brighter or darker. Make sure I deselect the dark areas. So all the rocks are not that interesting. I'm going to go way more precise. Here we go. The smoothness just feathers the edge a little more so we can make it really rough on the corners or feather it into the previous selection. Go there, that's pretty cool. Press O again to get rid of the overlay. And now I'm just going to change the temperature and make this whole water look a bit bluer. And the saturation comes down too. Add some clarity, always good with long exposure of water, and a bit of dehaze. Highlights down, shadows up. Really flatten the water a little bit, but then add a bit more contrast. Just, yep. Jump blacks. Nah, that's good. Okay, the water's looking good now. I'm gonna jump in and adjust one more area, which is the front here. I'm not too happy with this still. Okay, so we've adjusted the front area. The water's looking much nicer now. Now, I would like to bring more attention to the bridge. So overall, I'm going to brighten up this area and create a bit more contrast so the bridge stands out more from the background. So I'm going to use Shift M and create a big radial circle here. Yeah. And we can press O again to show the mask overlay, and I'm going to feather it even more. So I'm going to go up somewhere here, just so the transition is even smoother. And I usually recommend doing the radial filters a bit bigger than you would expect to do them. Press O again so we can see what we're doing. And I'm going to be radical here. We're going to brighten up this area quite a bit. Increase contrast so the detail in the trees stays dark. Bring the shadows down, but we'll bring the highlights up. I'm not too bothered about burning out some of the sky there. Now what I'm going to do is decrease the dehaze, so we'll add haze to the scene. Maybe somewhere there. And I might even go in and cool the whole thing down a bit. Just make it look a lot more mysterious. There's a bit of a haze in the sky. Let's bring down those highlights. It's looking good. Okay. Press OK. And now I'm going to use another radial filter and just to work on the bridge. So I'm going to make a big bridge selection here. And I'm going to increase my temperature slightly. But what I'm going to do is add contrast. Drop those blacks and bring out the shadows, which means the darker areas, so anything that's not towards black will be a bit brighter, but anything that's black, so the bottom rim here of the bridge and things here, like the darker spots of my shot will get much darker. So if we do this, it'll affect that in a strong way. And again with the whites as well, so we can bring the railing out nicely there. Increase it, make it a bit brighter. And if I change the temperature slightly, I think we can make it pop a bit more. Add a hint of clarity just to make it pop. And there we go. Now, this rock is still taking a lot of the attention. I would still want to drive it furthermore to the bridge. So I'm going to do another local adjustment with a brush. I'll press K to get to the brush tool, or just click on this one here. We're going to do the opposite. So we're going to mask out the range mask. We're going to use Luminance, but then get rid of the brightness. So everything that's water will not be selected, but the rock will be. Okay, I think we can go a little bit rougher on the edge here. Yep. So we really get to the edge of that rock and then change that even more. So we just get the dark areas. Press O to show the rock again. Drop that saturation, make it colder. Just make it blend in a little bit more with the water by just creating less contrast. There we go. Now I think the attention is getting more and more sucked towards this area, which is what I want. Still not quite there yet. I'm going to use Shift M to get to the radial filter tool and basically just draw a massive circle in my area here where I want the attention, and I'm just going to brighten it up a hint. No, it's a bit too much. Let's go up 20, create a bit of contrast. And I'm gonna warm this area up a little. Whoops, just a hint. And push the whites, but drop the highlights. There we go, looks pretty cool. Now there's a big drop here. It was pouring the rain when I shot this. Check it out in the episode. I'm gonna deal with that right now. Okay, that looks pretty good. Next thing I'm going to do is, it feels a little bit too warm. I'm going to still adjust a little more my hue, saturation and luminance panels. Definitely want to play with the greens and the yellows. So if I push the yellows down, look how orange the whole scene gets. Kind of cool, but very unnatural. And we push it that way, it also becomes too unnatural. Same with the oranges. I'm just going to play around a bit. I'm going to speed it up. Okay, once we're happy with that, I'm going to shift over to split toning. So in general, I like the feel of the image, but I think we can add a bit more a mysterious feel by adding blues into the shadows. So I'm going to just increase in the split toning, increase my saturation of the split toning in the shadows. I'm just going to hit it to the blues somewhere here. And somewhere here, it's going to feel right, I reckon. There, that's fine. Obviously too far, so now we pull it back quite a bit. And to counter that, the highlights, I'm going to heat them up. You have to be careful because highlights is mostly the water, so very careful by when you're adjusting this, just so we don't slip into too much of a feeling in the wrong colors here. Okay, I'm going to slip up and change this and cool the whole image down a bit more. Okay, the greens are very aggressive right now. So we're going to drop the greens a bit more towards yellow. And in general, the image has gotten very flat, so let's create some more contrast and drop. Every time you add contrast, you're going to you're going to add saturation. So if I do this, the image will get a lot more saturated. If I do that, it gets unsaturated, so undo that. If you do that, adjust accordingly. So if we're going to reduce contrast, then we have to add saturation or the other way. It's starting to look pretty cool, and the only thing that's still disturbing me is the front area here. I'm just going to go Shift M, radial adjustment tool, make a big circle, like I said, go a little bit bigger than you would think, and we're just going to reduce the saturation, maybe bring up and bring down the contrast, and then it's not as dominant. And let's fix up there back here a little more. And I think that's it. That looks pretty good to me. I'm pretty happy with the edit. It's a very colorful image right now, but yeah, it worked out pretty nicely. Let me know what you think below in the comments. If you enjoyed this, if you want to see more of this, let me know as well. If you would do something differently to me, I'm always keen to know how you edit your photos, what techniques I should learn. Yeah, I hope I see you in the next video. And please go check out the episode where I captured this shot, because yeah, you should see it.